to put last week's meeting up in the chat. So you have not had the chance to watch last week's meeting, which actually
No.
there was actually good information in it. So it's going to be me and you today because Paige is not feeling well. She's
Okay.
recovering from that, and Ashley's on vacation.
All right.
I imagine Asher will be here at some point, or maybe not. I don't know,
No
but
worries.
it's me and you. So
Awesome.
this is our meeting. Um, so before I get into new information, since you weren't able to be here last week, and since another week has passed, um, any progress or update? What's the progress reports on your creator?
Currently, as we all know, Jeremy is now traveling the world doing whatever the heck he's doing, which I imagine is going to slow down this process with him totally, which was
How
already
long
kind of
is
slowed down
that?
because we had a hard time getting him to respond to stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, he's created his general outline for his pilot episode at this point, at least
Okay.
for like, because he was thinking of doing two, but I honestly think that he should just do one and
Okay.
stick to it being a decent, like 30-minute pilot
Okay.
episode.
All right.
Um, combining all of like the best elements of what his show is going to be about and kind of teasing at those elements within the show in one single episode. I think trying to do two smaller pilot episodes just doesn't work because when you're trying to pull in sponsorship, they don't want to watch two separate videos.
Yeah.
They want a one and done. They want one connection. I've already reached out and told him like my opinion on that. I have
Right.
yet to hear back from him in that regard. And I just think it'd be easier to focus on doing one good solid 30-minute pilot episode,
Okay.
especially because so much information is already going into his initial pilot episode A, as Asher can confirm because he went in and gave us some feedback from his perspective as well, just to
Mhm.
have like a double opinion on that.
Okay.
And he doesn't really have anything else to fill out a second pilot episode. It can kind of just all be combined into one.
Okay. I'm
So
Michelle. I'm going to back you up on this. You know, so if Jeremy, kind of has any pushback, I'm just going to tell him that first of all, his plan to do two instead of one will make things more complicated with post production, which is legit. And two, investors want to see the actual thing you're making, not a simulate, not like, what I mean, if you're doing a 30-minute show, give them an episode of the 30-minute show.
right.
So I agree with you on this. I really, when he first put that plan out, um, I I didn't question it since I thought you guys were working on it or whatever. But now I know that you have pushback on it, and that you don't feel like that's the best idea. You,
Right. I let him play with it to start just to see what he was going to come up with in
right?
regards to possibly doing two smaller pilot episodes. But after like actually going through like what he wants to include
Yeah.
and seeing the layout of how he has his first pilot episode, I
Mm-hmm.
just don't think it's going to be conducive to do two separate ones. I think he just needs to do the one solid 30-minute one and utilize that as the front. And then also like just kind of looking into some more details and kind of reading what other people have done for their pilot episodes just in multiple video genres. It seems to be that having one solid pilot episode to get backing is the best bet because again, it's like a one and done thing. If they see that you're connecting two different episodes, they're going to only probably watch the first one. Mm-hmm. And then tell you whether or not that it's worthwhile
I
to them.
totally agree with that. I
Having a
totally agree.
solid like 20 to 30-minute pilot episode is enough to give them the information needed to give them an overview about the whole program, what's going to happen, what kind of research he has, what kind of names are involved, all that good stuff. And then that's what's going to capture that interest in that
But
first video.
here's I want to say this though. Is the first episode an actual episode that he's going to use for his students, or is it just like a 30-minute thing that he's doing for investors?
He
What
is
it
very much
sounds
putting
like.
together
All
a
right.
pilot episode of kind of giving an idea of what this is supposed to be about, what the show is. And he wants to utilize that as his like way of pulling in sponsorship and investors and backers, not like the actual episode itself. And then the first actual episode beyond the pilot would be what he utilizes in the actual show.
But meanwhile, it's the middle of August. He's traveling. We don't have this done. So when is he going to be financing? Does he think he has 2 years to do the show with us?
Oh, I mean, I don't know how long he thinks he has, but he was already planning on backing the pilot episode himself financially.
I know.
So he doesn't have to worry about
that. I know, but that's
for the rest of it.
For the rest of it, because you know what I mean? Like we started this program in May, you know? And so
and he knew he was going to be traveling.
He's nowhere. So that's on him. And I've had, you know, look, we have a bunch of creators who are sort of in this gray area, you know, of are you making a show with us or are you not? And I gave everybody some leeway for a few months to kind of get their feet under them, but my patience is sort of running out with the fact that we're not
I feel like
along with some people that are going to be doing long projects.
I know. I feel like my biggest problem is that like we don't have entirely solid deadlines, so I can't like lay down much of a law with some of my creators.
But
outside of telling them like this is what you need to focus on right now. Please get it done.
Here's the thing: you're supposed to create hard deadlines with them. The fact that each of them is on an individual schedule doesn't mean that's what these projects were supposed to be about. A production schedule means that you know the dates of every single thing that you're doing and when you're doing it. And that's why I set that up early in the process. And we don't have people don't have their production schedules. So that's why we have no deadlines. This is not like the books where you know, like if people don't have these projects done. So I'm going to have to start sending out some ultimatum type messages like, look, you know, you haven't paid us. You're working with our producers who are getting paid. And I set up 4 exercises. You haven't done them. You are going to be deleted from this program unless I get those by such and such. I'm going to have to start doing this with a bunch of creators because I mean, they're all just taking vacations and doing whatever. And this is not what I envisioned would be happening in this program.
Yeah. Crystal and I had a meeting today. She's been given homework. She knows what she needs to be doing this week into next week. 100% knows that she needs to get her project 2 finished at this time, which she is working on today. She now knows that she has a week to get her kind of like brainstorming pants on and start thinking about how she wants to tackle her crowdsourcing. Come up with some ideas that we can really like solidly put together. We touched on it a bit today, kind of discussing the fact where like price points will probably need to fall, what's going to be different from when she did like her book stuff, because it's not going to be the same. Had asked her if she read the documents that I told her to read before we jumped on this call, was informed that no, she hadn't had the opportunity. So I was like, okay, you have to read those. Like, I need you to know what you're doing or I can't help you. So she's been given that homework and she has been working on her project 1. She just hasn't put any of it in Quip. So I told her, I need you to start actually putting your stuff into Quip now, even if it's like episode 1, episode 6, just start putting your stuff into the project because we need to see progress, because we're not seeing any progress. I can't see what you're doing outside of Quip unless you put it in. So she's been informed that she needs to start putting her stuff into her project 1. And that way I can actually get in and start looking at what she has and commenting on it and giving her feedback and telling her what next steps are for those episodes. She is looking into getting a new camera.
I talked to her about that. Her sister has a camera that she's sending Crystal. So we're going to look at the visual tests on that. And
fabulous.
When
I told her
gets that.
As
and
soon as she
so,
gets her new equipment, we need to do a sound video
mhm,
test so that we can get that sent off
yeah.
to production so they can give us the approval
I
and the
talked to
okay
her
to use.
about that last. She reached out to me because you were out. So
Right.
um
So
s-
then she didn't mention that at all, didn't make it sound like she didn't even tell me that she was getting that camera from her
okay.
sister. She brought up a completely different camera that she looked up on Amazon.
Oh
And I
really?
was like, yeah. And so I
All
told her, I
right.
was like, okay, basically what you need to do is you need to look at the equipment list that was provided
Mhm,
by our production team already. And if you're thinking of getting something not on that list, you need to compare the specs of that equipment to what has been given to you to make sure that they are
but
comparable and
here's
that it will work.
here's the thing about it, okay? The reason why Marco suggests those particular cameras is because he has a tutorial video on how to use it.
On how to use them.
So if she isn't an expert, like Jeremy at least knows how to use his equipment, or at least, that's the claim. Um, you know, but I don't know how well versed Crystal is in this stuff. So if she's going to get a different
Right.
camera, she needs to understand no one's going to teach her how to use it.
Yeah.
So
And
so
that's also kind of what I told her today. I was like, I can't really help you beyond what we already have here because I'm not versed in anything else.
mhm,
So that if she does do that, I was like, I don't want you buying something that ultimately ends up
mhm,
not being something you can use or doesn't work for you.
mhm.
Um, but we did have a pretty good like meeting today. She has been given a deadline. She knows what she needs to be working on.
Okay, good.
So I
That's
think
what
she
we
might be
have to
getting a little
do.
more on track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to
I need
start
to
giving
follow up with Abra.
everybody. Yeah. Has Abra like done anything?
I followed up with her since our last meeting and I haven't heard anything from her. I gave her I did a shout out to her like twice now and I still haven't heard anything from her. She's completely ghosted me again. So I got to reach out again to get her to respond at all to know if she's doing anything. I've checked her stuff. I
Hmm.
haven't seen any movement on most of it. Chris has
Okay.
actually responded to me. He is working on stuff. He said that he's scheduled with me. I have a meeting scheduled with him for this week. He says that
Okay.
he plans to have progress done for us to actually go over when we get on that call. And he already knew from our previous call that he needed
Mm,
to read through the crowdsourcing documents and be
yeah.
prepared to come into that meeting to talk about getting his crowdsourcing campaign started and
Right.
getting solid ideas down for that.
Okay.
So hopefully
Yeah.
Chris will be like on the up and up for that. I won't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
My only two right now that are kind of worrisome are obviously Jeremy and Abra.
Yeah. And Abra, it's a weird thing because, like she came in like months late and she basically begged me to let her into the program after we had, because like we had already started with everybody else, and I said sure, no problem, and now she's not doing anything. So I'm
Yeah, I
going
haven't.
to
She
have
hasn't even seen.
to.
She hasn't even seen my messages. So basically, um,
I don't know
we
what's
spoke.
happening there, but it's not. I mean, I'm really going to have to get in here with people and start, um, just laying down the hammer. I didn't, I've been doing this soft sell thing because it's the first,
Yeah,
cohort,
cohort.
and we want to, but they they're going to put themselves and us in a very bad situation
Yeah.
where, like,
So
this is not a forever program. You don't have
you're right.
forever to make your show. And
Hmm.
I'm just gonna have to, start telling people that, hey, we need you to speed up. You
Right.
are way
Way
behind.
behind. Yeah. Abra and I met on the 31st, which was the 31st of July, a Saturday. Followed up with her immediately 2 days later on Monday, kind
Mm,
of reiterating what we talked about, pointing out what she needs to be
mhm,
focused on working on. The fact that she still needed to get equipment. So I gave her the list to that. Also attached the like hardware and software setup for that equipment list,
Okay.
all that good stuff. Asked her to schedule another call with me. She never responded. I followed up the following week. After that to like be like, hey, like still haven't heard from you, still haven't seen any movement.
Hmm.
She's not seen any of those messages. And I was going to send another message tonight to follow up and be like, hey, like, how's it going?
Right.
What's
I'm
going
gonna
on?
start tomorrow. I am gonna be on this and sending out a number of messages because I really need people to start. Um,
Yeah, there's been no movement in her project two documents. I'm checking it like right now just to double check.
mhm.
Haven't seen any changes made to her project one segment. Jamie was the last person in that document.
Okay.
She filled out her preparedness list, I guess, to the best of her ability, but even then it was still pretty underfilled,
Mhm.
in my opinion. And I did tell her, like, you're going to need to like really think about some of these things and be prepared to like fill more of this out and discuss this on our next call.
Mhm.
And there hasn't been any movement on that since our first call either. So yeah.
All right. I'm gonna have to talk to her and find out if she's doing this or not. I mean, it's that simple. It's like, are you doing this? Project one, is like if people haven't done project one by now, I don't care if you came in late or started late. Project one, I even say in there, if there's areas that are to be filled in as you get them, it's fine, which
Mhm.
means that project one should take like a couple hours, no more, which means that everybody who started late should be way beyond that by now. I'm going to,
Yeah, I think the thing of the project one was like it was throwing people off because it was like this idea of the segment by segment breakdown. I'm like, look, it's just taking your episodes and letting us know what you're putting into them beyond maybe just the episode itself. It's really not that complicated. And if you're doing it outside of Quip, just copy paste then. It's not that hard, which
yeah,
is what I had to discuss
yeah,
with Crystal today.
the problem is that, and this is really part of the problem, is that they didn't teach people how to make shows
Right.
down at Creator Institute, and these people don't know how to make shows, and so it's like, yeah, the segment by segment, it's not, it's really not difficult. It's not a difficult exercise, but if they're intimidated by it, they should be talking to you to help them, not you know
Yeah.
fading into oblivion and ghosting. So I'm going to start giving people hard deadlines and say, look, we can't work this way. I can't pay my producers to be waiting around for you to do exercises that should take 2 hours. And we're 2 months in, we're waiting for this stuff. I need this stuff
Right.
done now. Are you making a show with us? Are you serious about making the show? So I'm going to have these discussions with people because, all of this, ghosting, like, you know, it's problematic. At some point, I'd rather have 5 people who are making shows than, 9 people where we don't know what the hell is going on, you know.
And I would agree. Um, so that's the thing. Like honestly, my problem with Jeremy is that like he's got great ideas and he's very passionate about it, but like he disappears for days to weeks on end.
I
As Sharon
told you,
gave him our feedback,
yeah, I told you
like
on day one that he was like, he seemed a little spacey, a little flaky. But I wasn't expecting him to disappear for weeks at a time when he was the like creator coach down
yeah,
at Creator Institute. I don't understand. I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna have to talk to him and see what's
yeah.
going
My
on
biggest
because
thing
it's
was
not.
when he got ready to join our program, like I know I found out pretty early that he was going to be getting ready to travel soon, but like was that something he even bothered to tell you before he like officially joined this program?
Um, yeah, but
He
it
made
was
it
one
sound
of
like
those
he'd be
things.
able to get it done, I bet.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And you know, it's one thing if you start off and you get a whole bunch of stuff done and you take a little break and you come back because we had like a 10-month, you know, like program to do it. So if you end up taking a month off, you know, like, but you've been working for 3 months hard and you get a whole bunch of stuff done, it's no big deal. Where he's at now, very troublesome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think he's finished putting together even the AV creator synopsis. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. He hasn't even done any changes to that since August 3rd for like the AV creator synopsis template. Now, granted, like he asked Natalie a question to be like, to clarify, all you need are thoughts on stock footage from Envato, correct? And she never responded to that, but I don't know why that stopped him from filling out the rest of the information in the document as requested. So I'm gonna actually send him a follow-up on this to get it done.
Yeah. Give him
But he hasn't,
deadlines and tell him
yeah,
that, you know, at some point he's going to be so far behind that we're going to find this to be untenable and
yeah,
not be able to do it. I mean, you know, he should have gotten all of this done in May and June. There are a few people, and Crystal's one of them, because there were serious health concerns in her family. And
right.
Chris Webster also serious health concerns in his family, personal issues he has if he can start late. None of that is true of Jeremy Strike. Okay. So,
Yeah,
you know, like Jeremy should have all his projects done. That should all be behind him, and he should be, you know, and he's nowhere. These are grown adults. I just want you to know, Michelle, I don't put this on you. This isn't your fault. I know what you can do with someone who's actually working hard and doing stuff. So
try it.
I'm not, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not, I just want you to understand that my annoyed tone, I'm not annoyed with you.
No,
I'm
and I
annoyed
get
with
it.
them.
I personally, yeah, my thing is too is like part of me is like, should I know part of me is like, I need to bug them a bit more because I think I've been a little too lax in that regard and like letting them do it because you're right, they're adults and I maybe gave them a little more leeway in that regard for it
Yeah.
because none of these guys are like my usual like high school to early college type authors that I definitely stay on top of. These were all of them are adults that I figured, you know, were working professionals, understand how to maintain a balance on their calendars,
But
know when they have to get their
apparently
stuff
they
done.
don't. And
And
apparently
apparently
they
they
need
don't.
hard
So
apparently they need hard deadlines, and we've got to go in
yeah,
and take a
so
different approach, I think. Both of us do.
obviously a bit of a learning
Both of
curve
us
on
do
that. Yeah.
because you know,
Yeah.
in the book division, you have the wranglers that come in and get on people if you know then and I haven't been getting on people the way that you know like Christy Carter or Linda Biradelli would come in on a writer if they were late. So
Right.
we both need to change our approach and we both need to get on them and go, all right, this is we the grace period is and this is the phraseology. Okay, I think you know
Grace period is over.
we had a grace period, you know, for people just get started, but the grace period is over because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to make a show and you're grossly behind schedule. And this is the language that I want you to use.
Okay.
And I want you to make sure they understand that, you know, again, this is not a forever program. And the
Right.
reason why we extended it to 10 months was only because 5 months was impossible. But if they're taking the first 5 months to do nothing,
Literally
guess
do
what?
nothing.
It's still impossible.
Still 5. Yeah. So yeah, learning curve on that. I'm gonna pretty much get into just staying on top of them and reminding them multiple times throughout the week, like I would with my young and experienced authors, because obviously that's just what needs to be done in this regard.
Needs to be done.
So
I'm going to start sending messages starting tomorrow.
Yeah,
I won't send one to Crystal because she seems like
we just had our meeting and I'm going to do a follow-up message with her anyway.
So we'll see what she does now. But I
Yeah.
will send messages to Jeremy. I'll send it to Abra especially. And then how's
Chris, I
um
think we can hold on to for now because he did respond to my last message when I
okay.
reached out to him.
All
He
right.
has scheduled a meeting with me that is upcoming. So we'll see
Okay.
where he's sitting
Let's
on
see
that.
where
And
all right. So I'll just do Jeremy and Abra tomorrow.
yeah,
I just did one, like one yesterday for one of Ashley's creators who hasn't been around, and actually for one of Paige's creator. She has one creator and he hasn't been around, you
and he
know.
hasn't been around. Yeah.
It's just
So
crazy.
I was going to follow up with her either tonight or tomorrow because that was like that 1 week mark. But
Hmm.
with Abra moving forward, if she does decide to jump on the and get it done, I will definitely keep her consistent to 2 messages a week. Obviously, she needs it. If she's not, she hasn't even been on to see my messages. Like she hasn't
Well,
been on
that's
Quip.
that's a major
So
problem. How are we
that's a
supposed
problem.
to do business with people who are not?
You aren't
And
getting
she
on.
really was like, yes, I want to do this, so but at some point we're gonna have to drop people out of this
Yeah.
thing. We just are. So that's business, because they haven't paid us, like anything. So we can't keep putting money out to be, you get paid, I get paid, um, to be, you know, trying to do business with them.
Right.
And it's one thing if they raised or if they put money in, like you pay us, $3,000 or whatever. You want to go on vacation for a month, fine. You paid us a little bit. But at the same time, we're not necessarily going to do 10 episodes with you,
Right.
because we don't have forever to do that. You're now doing 5 episodes with us and that's it,
Yeah.
because you're out of time. And these are some of the things that I'm going to be saying to them is that you're hoping to do this many episodes. You are running out of time to do that. And you can't produce episodes with us unless you're doing my exercises. If they make you uncomfortable, have a meeting with me, have a meeting with your producer. Let's go over it. But I need these to be done. I need your segment by segment outline for each episode. I need, your production schedule. We need these things to be able to help you. And if you're not going to put forth that effort, then why we can't do business with you? This is business. So, we need to start getting onto people as to whether or not they're actually going to make this or if this was just lip service. At some
Yeah.
point, if you're just working on your script for 6 months, you're not making a show. And this isn't Creator Institute anymore.
Yeah.
So people need to understand that they've signed a contract and that we're supposed to be moving forward with this stuff. Okay, some technical stuff because this is funny. One of the people that actually is making things happen is Caroline Saunders, who's one of Ashley's. But the way she's doing it is driving Marco and his post production team completely insane now,
Hello.
because she has like 40 to 50 different audio pieces for each episode, and um and it's too much for them to work with. And so what I want is to make sure that we talk to our creators about, you know, like making sure that you have larger pieces and that you aren't interspersing every 20 seconds something new. And it's not supposed to kind of be as, I mean, I guess she's doing things in a way that's dynamic, but we're not NBC.
Right.
So, we don't have the budget for that. And Marco's already told me, like, because he gave us really really good prices for, but he cannot maintain that budget with the kind of things that's going on with Caroline's show. And if we have 8 more creators that give us stuff like that, we're not,
It's going to be
Marco's,
over.
yeah.
Right.
So, um, and just to see what would happen, Marco's already done like 3, like his producer has done 3 of her episodes. And that's for an audio show, not a video show. With a video show, it could
Oh,
be even crazier.
yeah.
So I absolutely we're learning stuff as we go, and this is going to be something where, you know, I'll be creating guidelines for that kind of thing, because it just never dawned on me that anyone would do that.
Right.
That anyone would have, 40 to 60 pieces for a 30-minute audio show.
They really shouldn't, though. I mean,
Yeah.
that is weird.
I'm
I
having a
can at
meeting
least
with her tomorrow morning to really discuss it with her.
discuss how to do.
Yeah.
I can at least say that when it's come to talking about any kind of aspect of filming with my creators, I've told them that their goal is to be comfortable with their material by rehearsing it beforehand, both audio and show, a little bit more so for video, obviously, because they're being filmed live. Whereas like with audio, you can kind of have your script in front of you.
Sure.
You don't necessarily, you just want to make sure that you sound natural in your delivery. So practicing speaking through it is going to be best, kind of finding where you want your pauses and writing those into your script are super helpful. Like
Right.
putting in where you want to emphasize emotion, put in a pause. Like those are going to be things that help you in your delivery as
With
an audio
her,
show.
with Caroline, the issue is that she's doing pieces where she's talking, and then she's interspersing with stuff from interviews. So she has
Right.
interviewees, and then she's putting some music in, and then she's commenting on like stuff from the interview and whatever. So it just becomes this like almost like hodgepodge of like going all over the place. But I'm guessing in a way
Right.
that's solid, because Ashley's been very complimentary about Caroline's work. But
It's hard for production to put that all together in the long run.
well, it's time consuming. It's
Yeah.
not that it's more that it's time consuming than difficult for them. You know what I
It's
mean?
just,
Like if they have all the pieces and they have the order, it's not necessarily difficult, but
it's just a bigger puzzle to put together.
yeah, exactly. It's very, very time consuming, to the extent that Marco told me it's taking his producer 5 times as long to do her pieces than originally anticipated. So
Got
for
it.
a 30
Okay.
minute episode, and that is way too much. So this,
So
I'm going to have a meeting with her tomorrow to discuss, that and doing her other episodes a little differently, where she's, basically doing larger amounts of her, segments. Um, and I'm just letting you know so that
okay.
you can be kind of, in touch with what your creators are doing, and make sure that we don't run into that again, because
Right.
it's going to be too expensive for us.
I don't think we'll have a problem with Crystal show.
Yeah.
Um,
Hers
there
are
might be
short
some,
anyway. Right?
I was going to say her episodes are already going to be short. Most
Yeah.
of them are going to be pretty straight to the point. Her discussing the details and the workshops and the and things that she's doing, with maybe an interviewer or so here or there, interspliced into like some of them. But other than that, hers is going to be really easy. That's not going to be as time consuming because it's going to be pretty straightforward. Abra, I don't know, because she really didn't have much of an idea of what was going on with her show when we had our call.
Oh, really? So she
She
doesn't.
had like an
Okay.
idea. She said she had like most of the episodes figured out,
Mhm.
but like she didn't know what kind of elements that she wanted to add. She didn't know like where all some of the interviews might be put into. She definitely still felt she needed more interviews. So I think that hers might not necessarily be too over the top. I think it's just going to be the interview thing, because she didn't
Mhm.
really have anything else that she wanted to add to that.
Okay.
Jeremy's the one I'm worried about. He's the one who's getting kind of all these big ideas. And he's been like, oh, we could do this or they could do that. And I'm like, Jeremy, I don't think you understand that we're not like a major production company. There's only so much that we can do here. It's a cool idea. And I've had to temper him down every time. And I was like, we'll see what production says. Like, it's gonna
Mhm.
be their decision if this is something
What
that
kind
they
of
can.
stuff that he wants to do?
He likes to make. Let me pull it up. Actually, I gotta like. He gets very
He has
specific
to
into things
understand that he has
like
to make his show, and we're just putting the segments together for him.
right.
So what
So
is he looking for people to do?
one of the things I can pull off right off the top of my head, if I can find the comment. Um, there was something specific that we had discussed where he pulled in a reference on his master episode list. Where did it go? It was this whole thing where he was like, oh, I like the way that they've done this or did this, and maybe we could do something like what they did here. And I was like, I don't necessarily know if that's something that they're going to be able to do. It was very much a reference to something that was like
Okay.
done. In
So I'm
like
just going to say this.
Oh,
Okay. Jeremy needs to understand we're not making his show. He's making his show. If he
right.
can't do it himself, it's a no. The post-production team is not going to put in like 1,000 bells and whistles for him. He has to provide everything. So if he can't do it, then it's a no.
Okay. That's what I figured. So like when I responded to that, I was like pretty tentative on the side of like, as cool as an idea that seems to be, I don't necessarily think that's going to be something that production will be able to do, because you're looking at like professionally made like movie type episodes and stuff that are like specifically made for like TV entertainment, I think. And
Does
that's
he
not what this is.
understand that they spend like $800,000 per episode to make those things?
I have no idea. I mean, I would assume so, but like, and then of course there's the whole thing, like we haven't even gotten into like, because we're still waiting on some of these other things for him to do. Like I haven't even been able to really even like, and I had already commented on it previously in a thing where I was like, you need to go through and choose like what bits and pieces you're pulling from these interviews and where they're going exactly. Because right now you've given me like huge like transcripts and interviews that like span 30 minutes to 60 minutes, and I can't go through all that because I don't know what you're pulling from.
That's not supposed to be. He's supposed to give you his
Yeah.
episode scripts, not giant oceans of material for you to wade through.
Yeah,
I'm gonna send Jeremy a long message tomorrow that he needs to have his segment by segment outline done. He needs to finish his video stuff, like all this stuff for his pilot episode. And understand this, he's only paying us for the pilot episode out of pocket. That's all you should be looking at right now. If that's because I don't know, and what that's
essentially that's what I would been focusing on. That's what I told him. I was like, even since we're just focusing on like this pilot episode, because you need to get the backing and stuff for the rest of the show, like you should be putting that in your project segment by segment outline, like your project one, like that's where your focus is. He went in on the 3rd and added pilot episode A, and that was it. He hasn't done anything else since the 3rd of August on that. And I mean, Asher and I were in his master episode, which is essentially like the nice full outline of it. He just needs to actually translate that to the segment by segment and create like a viable script that I can now then go through and give him feedback on as to what it looks like and what needs to be included or not included. But he hasn't even looked at any of the feedback Asher and I gave him like a week ago.
Well, if he's traveling and he's on vacation, that makes sense. But at the same point in time, he knew going into this. Not only that, but unless your internet is completely down, you should be going in and looking at messages, professional messages, all that stuff.
Right. And
So
like
I'm gonna have to
even in
go in
that regard, like
tomorrow.
if you've got
Yeah,
the app on your phone, you can still do some stuff.
that's right.
Maybe not the full extent of what you can do when you have a computer screen open in front of you,
Yeah.
but like you can still read messages and respond to things and keep people updated or look at feedback on
Mhm.
your phone. I've read chapters and left feedback on chapters using my phone app when I had to,
All
like
right.
in airports.
Well, tomorrow
So,
I'm going to lay down the hammer and lay down the line
okay.
with him. So you let me be the bad guy on that, and I'll take care of it. You know, all of my conversations with Abra have been very positive and all of that, but I'm gonna have to let her know, like, look, we let you in late and you're disappearing. We don't know what's going on. And, we don't have forever to make this. We need to do this. So I will
Yeah.
talk to
And
both of
I'll
them
send her.
tomorrow. No,
Okay.
because I don't feel like
I
piling
just,
on. So I'll handle this tomorrow, and you can wait until Thursday or Friday to.
okay.
And when you do reach out to her, just make it friendly, and put your meeting. Set up a meeting like
My
we
calendar link.
let's have
Yeah.
your calendar link, so that. I'm going to say, look, you need to be having meetings with Michelle regularly, even if there's a pause or a delay where you have something else going on this week. Surely you can find 30 minutes to have a meeting with Michelle and move things forward. And this is what I'm
Right.
going to say to Abra. Like, look, this you can't we can't do this way. This isn't
Yeah.
we're not in
Especially
business
because
like
I've
this.
I've made I've made my calendar a little bit more accessible for people who might not be able to constantly do an hour meeting. They're all now 45-minute meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Which if they only go for a half hour, that's okay. I understand. We can always schedule a secondary one later in the week if
Yeah,
it's needed. But
right.
yeah, she hasn't even seen my messages. And there's been no movement on any of her projects, which we discussed in full on our first call. I followed
Okay.
up with her on it, pointed out all
Right.
the documents, gave her the links, and then followed up again. And it's constantly me going like, anything I can help you with to review? Do you have any questions I can answer, advice to give you as you're working on your project 1 and project 2? Like basically all of that. I also
Yeah,
sent them
and
that update, letting her know that,
how many times can you say that over and over again?
yeah,
So,
it's that adage, you can lead a horse to water.
yeah, right. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So look, I obviously the news, not great overall with all of this, but
Like 50-50.
yeah, you know, but I'm going to, like I said, we both need to kind of change our approach,
Yeah.
and we're gonna have to,
Start
give these
buckling down on
people,
them a bit
yeah,
more.
and start giving them actual deadlines. Like, hey, we were, we were open at first because it was early in the program, but now
Yeah.
we're at a point where we need these things to be done by such and such, you
Right.
know.
I'll keep you posted on Crystal. As of right now, we kind of already had that conversation today.
Yeah,
So I hope that that's going to light
yeah.
a fire under her butt and get her
Okay,
moving.
right.
I will keep you informed. Hopefully I'll have some more to update you with next time on our next meeting in her regard. I'm feeling a little bit more positive about Chris because he's at least been replying to my messages. He
Mm-hmm.
did schedule a meeting with me as I requested. And he does say that he wants to have, progress when we get on that meeting. So we'll see
Right.
how that goes when we have our next
You
meeting
know,
and how everything's looking.
yeah, saying
Um,
that you want to have progress and actually having progress, two different
is
things.
different
So
for
we
to
will
having
see.
having
So
progress.
we will
Yeah,
see, because I've
we
heard
will
it from
see.
Chris a few times before, and he's a good guy. And he's got stuff going on, family stuff going on, unfortunately. And it's, at some point, it's like, are you doing this or are you not doing it? What's happening?
Right.
You know, so especially he's doing an audio show. The other thing I want you to clarify with him is if he's bringing in actors are doing the whole thing himself. There was a point where
Yeah, that's what I need to fully clarify. And I actually just jumped into his project one just out of curiosity since he last messaged me,
Mhm.
and he has been in here. He has been making progress.
Okay, good.
So it looks like he's got episode one. He's got an outline going on in here. He's got things laid out and set up. So he has been working, and he was in here
Mhm.
earlier today,
Okay, good. So
working
that's
on it.
so that is very positive. So you know, again, if we see progress, great. We have to now, from this point, we have to see consistent progress from all of the creators. I don't want to drop anybody, obviously, but
Right.
at some point, it's like, yeah,
If it's
we
needed.
started in May. It's the middle of August. You've done nothing. You know what I mean? Like at some point, and you've given us no money. So, at some point, it's like we're not actually making a show with you. You
Yeah.
know, well,
I'm
this
gonna have
happens
to
in the
give him
book
a,
division all the
it
time.
does.
It happens with the book. It's just unfortunate. There we have 200 authors, and if even up to 20 of them decide not to make books, whatever. Here we've got 9 people. So if someone decides to not make shows, that's too bad, for us in terms of kind of putting together, you know, a very profitable situation. But it's not profitable for us to be sitting around waiting for people to do stuff if they're not going to anyway. So
Mhm.
at some, I'm going to start laying down the hammer, and and I'll start with Jeremy and Albert tomorrow, and we'll see what happens.
Sounds good.
Asher, how you doing over there?
Doing well.
Hey.
Yeah, I've kind of settled into school now. Haven't started classes at all, but just finished training for my RA stuff. So
Okay.
things are going well. Was happy to help Michelle with a little bit. And yeah, just also did a little bit of work with the book division to sort of like sift through some emails and shipping data. So uh,
Okay. How
been
was
busy,
that?
but doing
Was
well.
that shipping data stuff fun?
It was tedious, but
Yeah.
what it allowed me to do a little bit was to just see the impact that you could make with the crowdfund or the crowdsourcing sort of options that we're doing on the
Right.
book side. So that was pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. It's all this information is really good information that it really is, and so I'm glad you're getting the benefit of that. And cool. All right. I don't have anything else this time around.
Good
I knew
stuff.
this was kind of going to be just sort of an update meeting, and I just wanted to talk about the stuff with Caroline and in her million piece episodes that we kind of want to nip that in the
Um,
bud for the future.
was that kind of essentially what was talked about on the last meeting as well? Was like the
No,
technology? Okay,
no.
so then
I'm
I'll.
going to put last week's meeting in the room today, and then I'll put
Okay, great.
this meeting
Not
in the
gonna
room
lie, I
tomorrow.
got completely distracted and forgot to remind you too about that.
Yeah,
So I'll
I'm
watch that
sorry.
tomorrow.
That's really my fault completely, but
It's all
it
right.
just
We're
got
all
away from me.
crazy busy.
Yeah.
I'll be able to jump on and watch that recording tomorrow. Then I've only got a couple meetings scheduled for tomorrow and
Mhm.
some revise for one of my authors who's on a longer schedule. But other
Yeah.
than that, I'll have time to watch it.
All right. Cool.
But yeah, pretty good. Now I got to go deal with an author who told me she can only revise one chapter a week.
How many chapters does she have?
11.
She's only got 10 weeks.
She doesn't even really have 10 weeks. She's got 8 weeks. And she says that she can only, based on her schedule, even though apparently she doesn't have a job right now, can only revise one chapter a week. And I'm like,
she's gonna have to move to next cohort.
and either pay the fee to work with me through that whole thing
Right.
or work on it herself and then come back and be prepared to at least do 2 chapters in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
2 chapters a week for at least a couple of them in order to get a
I've
second
got-
round of revisions.
I've got
It's-
one person who legitimately can only do 1 chapter a week, but he's only got 9 chapters and he's done 3 of them already. And he
So there
started
you go.
early. So he did come back from a
I
different
know hers
cohort.
like 11 chapters that requires 22 weeks for 2 full rounds of revision between
Yeah.
AE and MRE and beta, but like she's already kind of my problem author as it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
She came into it.
I'm gonna pause this.
Oh yeah, go